Morning. I want to welcome you all. Some of you are new to here. I know there are over 200 people that are new, particularly the lower mids, that we have the bell when we come in. You guys were great this morning, I have to say. Everyone got to their seat. But we have the bell. It goes off once. We have that collective moment where we just breathe and we're present. You know, we live in such a frenetic, hectic world, not only at TAP, but in general. And just that calming and breathing, it's good for you. It's good for all of us. So you were great. The second bell, whoever the speaker is, this morning it's me, it could be a student, it could be an outside speaker, and then we warmly welcome them as you just did. But just before I begin, I know today is September 11th, so I just want to have a brief prayerful moment so to remember 17 years ago the victims and the families of 9/11. So if we could just be in silence together. Amen. So later this fall, a family friend, actually, where's Hunter Lord? He's out here somewhere, Hunter. There you are. Family friend of Hunter's actually lost her husband during 9/11, but since she's written a book, she's got a TED Talk, she'll be here to speak to us. All the really incredibly positive things that she's doing. So we'll get back to this issue. But this morning I want to say this is our first full week of school. Seems like we've been here for a month if you're a preseason athlete, I know. But it's our first full week in the new year. And this is where we are on Tuesday and Thursday mornings. We're in morning meeting, 9:20. You guys came in great, early, sat down. Sometimes on those rare occasions, we'll have morning meeting on Friday, 2 or 3 times a year, and we have 5-day weeks. But we're here, and we're also here during assembly on Wednesday and Saturday. Same time, same place, but the two are very distinctly different. You know, assemblies, you got skits, you got little funny incidents, you got videos. Everyone's getting you fired up about the sports games that are coming. It's great. But on Tuesday and Thursdays, you got to put on a different hat. It's our sacred time together. It's our sacred time because this all evolved out of Vespers years ago, devotional service, like a chapel experience. So we come in here with a different mindset. You know, I've been in mosques in North Africa and the Middle East. I've been in Hindu temples in India, and I've been in Buddhist monasteries in Vietnam and Japan. And anytime you walk into those sacred places, you take your shoes off, and you just feel this reverence. It just oozes out of the place. And now here we're not going to take our shoes off. You know, we could break our leg on your knapsacks going out the door if we had shoes everywhere. But if we could symbolically come in, just think if we're taking our shoes off, we're coming into our sacred space as a community. And then you're going to have a variety of speakers. You're going to have students, you're going to have faculty, and you're going to have outside speakers. And we're going to address a range of issues, moral, ethical issues, spiritual values, through a broad lens. We'll look at through music, through the arts, through science, through politics, through religion, through philosophy, in many ways. So that's what's going to happen here. And a lot of colleges and universities don't have the kind of speakers that come through here. So really, I hope you really appreciate this time. So with that said, here, this morning I want to talk to you about the hero's journey. And as I'm talking about the hero or the heroine's journey, I want you to think of yourself as a hero in your own life, because you are. Who else would be if it wasn't you? It was in 1949 that Joseph Campbell wrote a book called Hero with 1,000 Faces. Campbell was a professor at Sarah Lawrence University for 38 years, and he was one of those professors that you couldn't get into his courses. You had to sign up early because he was so dynamic, and his course actually changed people's lives. And as soon as this book was published, it became an instant bestseller, but in the academic world. And for the last 6 decades, people have been using it in college courses, and I discovered it in the 1970s in college. But so what's interesting about Campbell is that when he got to Columbia in the 1920s, undergrad and graduate school, and studied abroad, he came home, it was a depression. He rented a small farmhouse in Woodstock, New York, very cheaply, brought his library. What did he do? He read for 5.5 years, almost every single day. He had 12-hour days, 3 hours for correspondence and writing, and the other 9 hours for reading. Reading what? Poetry, reading myth, reading philosophy, reading history, particularly art history, reading the great literary classics in the world, reading the sacred texts of the world from religions in Sanskrit, in Latin, in Hebrew, studying biblical commentary from the great German scholars in German, reading French poetry and mythology in French. Just one of those sweeping scholars. Imagine that, 5.5 years of reading. We have, study hall for 2 hours? maybe an hour and 45 when we get down to it. So he became this incredible person. What does he mean by the idea of hero with 1,000 faces? What he discovered in all of his reading, particularly in mythology and the great religious traditions, as well as indigenous cultures too, what he discovered is there's one great mono-myth. It's the story of the hero or the heroine's journey. So a monomyth, what is it? It's a common template of a broad category of tales that involves a hero, goes on an adventure, and in a decisive crisis wins a victory, then comes home transformed. And what Campbell says about myth, and this is really important to get this, myths are things that never happened, but they're always true. They didn't happen like the Apollo mission, people landing on the moon, or the Civil War. Those we can document with historical facts. But in a very real sense, myths, when we understand their hidden meaning, point to profound truths about our lives that are buried deep in our psyche, in our soul. Campbell teaches us that myths are clues that can help us discover our spiritual potentialities. In other words, myths can help us uncover those divine gifts, talents, and graces that we have within us. You have them, you don't even know about what you have in you. I'm very much a Platonist when it comes to this. Plato believed in his epistemology, his theory of knowledge, that everything is innate within us. Your experiences here at Taft and college and beyond will draw the knowledge you already have within you up. So you don't even know what you have. So when we read the world's great myths with our heart, with our intuition, with our imagination, they become transparent. And they open the door to the transcendent realm that is beyond and above the range of normal and physical experience. So to understand what Campbell means, we need to look at myths through a metaphorical, symbolic lens. And this is in general terms. In our Western education, which pretty much now is spread across the globe, we're trained for the most part to use our rational, our logical, our critical, our analytical, this conventional way of thinking. This, of course, is important. This is why we, of course, have this overemphasis upon STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. Very important for the future, of course, but not at the expense of the humanities. If we want to unlock the mystery and connotation of myths, not the denotation, but the connotation, we need to take a very different approach. If a great myth, for instance, think of a great myth as was a mountain that you were trying to summit, the analytical, critical, logical, rational, intellectual would only take you as far as the base camp on that climbing expedition. So we have to engage the heart. And the great Czech-born German poet Rainer Maria Rilke said, "Work of the eyes is done, go and do heart work." So when we read like a myth, like Jason and the Argonauts, and they're sailing in these wild seas and landing on these islands, he's got to go through all these trials and tribulations, challenges, until he finally meets a fire-breathing, fierce dragon, because he's got to get the golden fleece in order to bring that back. He has to slay the dragon, bring it back so he can reclaim his throne. When we read a story like that, it's not to frighten children or entertain you or young adults or any of us. We should see ourselves in the story. Because, every one of you has traveled far to get here, whether it's 10 miles or 10,000 miles. And you've made certain sacrifices in your life to get here. And now that I can assure you, you're going to meet dragons on this campus. You're going to meet dragons everywhere in your life, but dragons are challenges. But you're going to be offered an array of opportunities to evolve and distinguish yourself as an adult before you graduate. There will be moments when the ship you're sailing through the Taft waters, through uncharted territory, will be going through something like uncharted territory, and you feel like when the high seas roll in that your ship's going to capsize and you're going to drown. But if you persevere, you hear this a lot, if you persevere, if you have determination, if you have a little grit, if you have this stick-to-itness, and most importantly, if you get help, because there are a lot of people here who want to help you, you will be able to confront any dragon when it arises and claim the victory and prize. I think the reason that you and I love movies and book series like The Hunger Games, like Harry Potter, like Lord of the Rings, like Star Wars, like Chronicles of Narnia, like Black Panther, just to name a few, is because you feel like you're embarking on a journey with them, that you identify them, and almost like you become them. You are the hero or the heroine in that story. Whether it's Katniss or Harry Potter or Frodo or Luke Skywalker or Lucy or Edmund or Peter or Susan or T'Challa, it is your own adventure as much or more than it is their adventure. Because each one of you is the true hero or heroine. Because all of these enticing mythical characters are not real. They're there to inspire us through the story, but you are the real person on this journey. So the hero or the heroine's journey is what the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung called a common archetype. And an archetype is a pattern, it's a model, it's a prototype that is found in folklore, it's found in myth, it's found in art, it's found in religion, it's across the board in religions and cultures of the world. And the story of the hero or the heroine is a common theme or motif. Most of our movies and novels follow this pattern. So remember, you're the hero, you're the heroine in your own story, and here's what the journey looks like. It's a circular journey, but there are many circles, there are many journeys that are going to happen in your life. This is one you're on. You begin in your ordinary world. Where's your ordinary world? It's your home, where you're from, wherever that is. You come to Taft, you're embarking upon a new adventure. You've crossed a new major threshold. And you're going to be tested, not just with exams. You're going to be tested in every aspect of your life. Here you will find allies. All the great mythological figures, they find mortal enemies. You're not going to find enemies here, I don't think, but you're going to find people that are difficult. You find situations that are difficult. What you're going to have to do, you have to think about what's a constructive, positive way for me to deal with this, to move beyond this. Well, the next part of your journey is that's the call to adventure. You're called in. It's already happening. You're challenged on the football field, on the soccer field, on the field hockey field. You've got challenges. Can I do this? Or it's an audition for the play or the musical that's coming up, Chicago. Can I really do this? Or you got a problem that draws you in. God, I got a new roommate. I don't know, I just can't relate to them. We can't connect for some reason. Or you're in a course already. Just a few days in, thinking, I'm way over my head with this course. I don't think I can do the work. But then, you're going to have these challenges. They're going to keep coming. But think about the initial challenges that Harry Potter or Katniss or T'Challa faced. Yeah, they had difficult challenges in those stories, but they overcame them, and so can you. So following the call to adventure, there's often what's called the refusal of the call. We all refuse calls at times. I think of the biblical story of Jonah. Jonah, the Hebrew prophet, who was called to go to Nineveh, where the Assyrians were in present-day Mosul in Iraq. He doesn't want any part of it. He's a Jew. He doesn't want to go to these rough and tumble Gentiles. But he's afraid of God's wrath because God is saying, if you don't go, my wrath's going to come down on you. He thinks he can hide from God. He gets on a ship and he starts heading west, as far away as he can go. Great storm comes up. People realize Jonah's the problem, and they vote on it, and they toss him overboard. The storm stops. They sail on their way. They're safe. Jonah, though, is out in this wild sea. What happens to him? This great fish comes up and swallows him whole. We think of it, the translation's giant fish, but we think of a whale. So a whale swallows him. He spends 3 nights, 3 days in the whale. And then we think, wow, 19th century, scientists come in, they say, the age of the Industrial Revolution, Darwin, everything. God, how could these religious people believe such a ridiculous story? Well, they didn't understand how to read mythology. That story, great heroes and heroines in the world's myths are always swallowed by great fish. Happens all the time. The Kwakiutl Indians along the British Columbia and southern Alaskan coast, the people of eastern Siberia near Kamchatka. You read Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's poem about Hiawatha. Not only Hiawatha swallowed, but the whole canoe. So it's a common theme. You can find it everywhere. What does it mean? It means that the hero has undergone a deep inward spiritual transformation of heart and mind. Jesus on the cross, 3 days in the ground, resurrected. The early Christians knew the Jonah story related to Christ's resurrection. So it's going through a dramatic change in your life. There's a rebirth has occurred. So what happened to Jonah? He's totally reborn. He does a 180, goes to Nineveh, preaches to the people. They repent of their sins, and they're all redeemed and saved. Well, the next leg of your journey, you meet a mentor. You got lots of mentors here. And Katniss and Peeta had Haymitch Abernathy. Luke Skywalker had Obi-Wan Kenobi. T'Challa had Zuri. For you, it could be your advisor. It could be your teacher. It could be your coach. It could be your old boy. It could be your old girl. But it could also be something like a book. You ever have a book? I know some of you have books that have changed your life. In my library, I have one book. I have many books, but one book is worth to me more than a brick of gold. More than a brick of gold, the wisdom in it. The monks of the Ramakrishna order from Calcutta, India, and 19th century monks. Unbelievable wisdom, inspiration, the compassionate understanding oozes off the pages. It's worth more than a brick of gold to me. So books can change your life, but you'll have mentors. They can help you navigate your lives at TAP. So as you journey, what happens? You have setbacks. You may feel like you have to try a new approach. You may have to think outside the box. Be flexible, be open to new experiences, new ways of doing things. If something doesn't work, get the advice and the guidance of a mentor. I guarantee you that by the two of you putting your minds and hearts together, you'll find another way to accomplish the task or the challenge before you. You're going to have ordeals. You're going to have crises on various levels. They'll happen to you here at TAF. They happen to us in life. Again, you'll be tested in many ways. But remember, you're as much a hero or heroine as Nakia and Shuri, the two most powerful and wise, courageous women that we come across in Black Panther. So after surviving a crisis or a near-death experience, the hero or the heroine, they win their victory, they receive their reward, they accomplish his or her goal. Then they go back to the ordinary world. But they're changed. The hero is now resurrected. The hero is now a new person. He or she is bringing boons and gifts to society. The experience you have, or the hero, the heroine, or you have, has not only enriched your personal life, it is going to enrich the lives of the people in the community, in the tribe, in the nation, in the world. It's not just for you, it's for everyone. So to translate this into your own lives, in the hero or heroine's journey that you are embarking on at TAP, you will have completed the circle and you will return to the ordinary world as a completely transformed and changed person. You will not only receive this much-coveted TAF diploma, you'll receive what it symbolizes, because you will have learned much in your journey here. Why? Because you challenged yourself, because you took risks, because you ventured far beyond your comfort zone into new experiences and new opportunities. And you will have cultivated new skill sets, discovered new abilities, talents in the arts, in music, in various academic topics, in athletics. And you will have made new friends. You're making right now some friends that will be your friends for the rest of your lives. And you will also forge lasting relationships with some teachers and coaches and advisors. So you will have grown in ways you never dreamed possible, intellectually, emotionally, creatively, and spiritually. And even physically. I remember coaching the Nick Winicki, wherever Nick is. He's in the Third Hockey Hall of Fame for sure, one of the great all-time players. Anyhow, Nick was like this, and now Nick, I'm looking up at him like this. But in fairness, we do shrink as we get older. It does happen. But Nick, okay. So you're growing in all these ways. Remember, you're the heroes or heroines in your own life journey and story. But it all begins right here. It begins right here now in the first full week of school. You got to make the most of this amazing community has to offer you. Draw upon that innate wisdom and intelligence that you have and heed the advice of your counselors and your mentors. And sail with confidence through this community. Confidence, courage, and strength. Because you're here because we all believe in you. So I wish you all a prosperous journey and Godspeed. Have a wonderful week. Take care.